I'm gonna wait for some people to show up into the live to get into what the topic is about today. But also, let me know if the screen is messed up, if the audio is messed up. Chime in the comment section. But today's live is gonna be about how to let go of your former self. I'm gonna be getting a workout in and kind of chopping it up with you guys as I go. But I've been wanting to make a video, like publish a video about this recently, but I just completely don't have time to make YouTube videos anymore. So basically, what I'm going to try to do is run a live anytime I feel like I have something to talk about or something I want to share with you guys. But first off, I'm going to get a couple sets in, getting a pretty basic workout in today. All right, so starting off, basically one of the reasons why I wanted to make this video is basically when we're trying to change who we are, or we're trying to basically level ourselves up in one aspect of life, a few different things we need to do. Number one, first and foremost, I would say is we need to have some type of a vision of what we want to change into anyways. And again, guys, in the comment section, if you got, or the chat, if you guys can, let me know how the audio is and let me know if the video is vertical or if something's off. But like I was saying, we have to figure out what we want to change into, or at least have somewhat of an idea of what we want to shift into and what we actually want to let go. So, there's plenty of times in my life where I feel like I've needed to let go of my old self. Sometimes I didn't know what I wanted to change into. Cool. All right, cool. So sometimes I didn't really know what I wanted to change into. Sometimes I didn't know what I had the potential to change into. Probably the easiest thing to think about is like changing what you look like physically, changing your body, changing your strength, leveling up in those areas. So we can kind of think about, oh, I want to be somebody who's a little bit leaner. I want to be stronger. I want to be able to do a muscle up. I want to be able to do a handstand, this, that, whatever. So we kind of have an idea of what is good, what we want to morph into or what we want to level up into. Now, I say one of the more difficult aspects of change is our environment. And I would say one of the pivotal parts of change is relocation. And it doesn't necessarily need to be something that like I've done, which is relocate maybe to another country or relocate to another state or halfway across the world. But it could just be relocating to another part of town or relocating 30 minutes away from where you grew up. It's funny because I think about this all the time. I live in San Francisco, but I'm from the East Bay. And for those of you guys who might be familiar with the Bay Area, San Francisco and where I grew up is probably like a 30-minute drive when there's no traffic. But it's a worlds of a difference in terms of the type of environment it is and the type of opportunities that are in this city. But let me get this set in and I'll continue. Now, opportunities, environments, things that environments have to offer you are great. But I think one of the biggest reasons to relocate or to change environments is because sometimes when we're growing up, we get put into a box. We can even put ourselves into a box. And leaving our initial environment where we have so much familiarity, there's so many people that know us. There's people that know us as the fat kid. There's people that know us as the skinny, weak kid. There's people who know us as the nerdy kid. There are people who know us as the thug, whatever your archetype was. You kind of get stuck in that box. And I would say once you can relocate, you can kind of start off with a clean slate. And I would say that's one thing moving to Japan, moving to Hawaii did for me. It gave me a chance to start off with a clean slate. And each place that you end up relocating to, every environment is different. So we're going to take on a little bit of our environment, hopefully the good aspects. But um, but yeah, we're going to take on a little bit of the environment, hopefully the good aspects of the environment. But also it just gives us a chance to kind of restart. Uh, Essentially, we might want to start painting a canvas of who we want to be. And we're starting off with a little bit more of a blank canvas than something that's kind of been muddied up from our past. And I would say that's why relocation is important. Now, another aspect of relocation, and this is kind of a little bit different, it's a little bit trickier, is kind of isolation. And I would say you don't necessarily need to isolate yourself in the sense of you can't be social or you can't be around people or anything like that. But you're going to have to be highly selective of the people who you do spend time around. And I'd say people from our old lives or people from when we were our former selves, the person that we're trying to let go of, those are the tricky ones because a lot of times they're really close ties. It could be a best friend who you went out and bagged women with every weekend, and now you're trying to be an honest man. It could be your family, which is probably one of the hardest ties to kind of distance yourself from, who've kind of instilled you with a certain type of value system, and maybe now you want to kind of tweak that value system, or maybe you want to tweak the type of person that you are, tweak your aspirations. And a lot of times your family, it's not even necessary out of a malicious place, but sometimes your family, out of love and being scared for you, will instill self-limiting beliefs in you. Oh, don't go after that. Don't do that. It's too risky. Don't do that. Don't go travel over there. I heard it's dangerous. Um, that field of work might not be lucrative enough, or whatever it may be. They know what they know, and anything outside of that, they don't necessarily feel comfortable with you doing. And like I said, it could be out of love that they're doing this, but it's also something that can kind of hold you back. So isolating yourself and kind of loving people from afar is a good thing to practice when you're trying to change into somebody, or you're trying to morph who you are into a higher version of yourself. Time for another set. And so right now, if as far as the workout goes that I'm doing slow chest to bar muscle ups. So maybe I'll turn it around for this set just so you guys can see how high I'm going. Slow chest to bar muscle ups, as slow as I can to control it. And then I'm doing tuck planche push-ups on a gymnastics range, which is super tough. All right, so another thing that we can actively work on when we're trying to change the type of person we are, we're trying to let go of our former selves, is just develop healthy habits. One of them could just be working out, especially if you're trying to change yourself physically. Maybe you're trying to lose some weight, maybe you're trying to gain some weight, maybe you're trying to pack on some muscle. Having daily practices and daily habits that you do. And eventually, what happens with those daily habits is they end up crystallizing into becoming your character. So for me, something like working out, training every single day, it's not something I have to force myself to do. It's not something where I have to get in the mood or get motivated or anything like that. It's just second nature to me at this point, just on the strength that I've been doing it for so long, that this is something that is just kind of like getting up every morning and drinking a glass of water or having a cup of coffee or whatever it may be. And also, guys, if you guys have any questions or anything, put them in the comment section, and I'll be definitely happy to answer any question with you guys. And for me, okay, so he said, have I done a cut lately? I don't, honestly, at this point, I don't really even think about cutting or bulking. I'm just honestly thinking about my performance goals and what it's going to take for me to get there. So for a while, I was doing a like more of an endurance-based training program just because I was training for a half marathon. But recently, I've scaled back dramatically on ever since I did the half marathon. I scaled back dramatically on my cardio routine, if you want to call it, or my running routine. So I've been running maybe like anywhere from like 8 to 10 miles per week. But as far as like intentionally cutting or bulking, man, I just eat to feel satiated, you know what I mean? And try to keep it as clean as possible, but my diet's not perfect. I'm somebody who likes to have a certain level of balance in my diet. So I want to eat things that taste good. I want to eat things that are good for me. And at the end of the day, I'm just trying to enjoy my life, really. And when it comes down to the training, whatever goal that I have in mind, right now, one of my goals is to be able to do a full planche. That's something I'm working towards. So I'm prioritizing that in my training by training for the full planche 3 days a week. Now, am I doing full planches 3 days a week? No, I'm not. I can't even do a full planche, but I'm doing regressions to that and working on those regressions and tightening that up. That's another. It's funny. This is maybe a different topic, but it actually kind of has to do with kind of changing and kind of leveling up and progressing. Is that a lot of times when people think that once you get to a higher level, you can't scale back. And when it comes down to training, especially when it comes down to calisthenics training, one of the things that you end up learning is that even once you're able to complete your goal, or once you do complete your goal, or once you accomplish something like a movement or whatever, say for instance a muscle up, I could do a muscle up slow. I'll do a slow muscle up for you right now. That's a slow muscle up, or a false grip, whatever you want to call it. So you could do a false grip muscle up, right? You could be training for that. And a lot of the ways that you would train for a false grip muscle up is to get on a bar, hit a false grip, and just do pull-ups as high as you can. And that's kind of what I'm doing today, which is a regression from the slow muscle up, but it's something that I'm doing. So it's another part of this aspect of change, and a part of this way that we can progress is that you still have to hammer in the fundamentals in everything that you're doing in life. Even when you get to a higher level, you never leave the fundamentals alone. Oh yeah, I think it's probably the pec thing has been more so from like just doing a lot of maybe like planche work. Maybe I don't know. I honestly do. I don't even. I'm not really in it for the bodybuilding aspect of training. It's more so about the performance aspect. I know I kind of owe it. Me and James, you guys kind of been on the channel for a while. You know who James is, but me and James have been. We kind of always talk about that as far as it's okay. We talk about that as far as like being more performance based than physique based, and I kind of like stick to that. That's kind of like my thing. I like to be able to do new cool movements and just challenge myself to become better at my craft. Those actually hit the chest a lot, but where are we at in terms of kind of changing and growing and letting behind our old self? So I would say, oh yeah, I think we were talking about good daily habits and also kind of developing a skill set that complements the change that we're trying to make. So developing a skill set is super important. I don't really know what you guys are into individually, but I'd say whatever you guys are into individually, focus on developing your skills and just chip away at it. Because at the end of the day, change takes work. And in order to change, we have to develop ourselves. And it's not going to be easy. Sometimes it's going to come through the form of reading books. Sometimes it's going to come through the form of listening to podcasts, going to school. Sometimes it's going to come through the form of doing these workouts like this. And that'll help you out a lot as well. And this kind of leads me into my next kind of step to letting go of our old self and changing into somebody new, which is you need to start placing yourself around people who are at a higher level than you. And this one is not necessarily the easiest thing to do because you got to think about it from this standpoint. I hear a lot of people in, I don't know, maybe online or YouTube or whatever, when it comes down to kind of self-improvement talk, people will say, "Oh, you just need to hang around people who are doing things at a higher level than you are. People who are at, people who are doing places that you want to be, or the person who has the body that you want to have, the person who has the bank account that you want to have. You need to start placing yourself in those rooms or being around those type of people." But here's the tricky part about it is that people who are at a higher level, they don't just hang around low level people just for the hell of it. They want to hang around people who are on a high level as well. But one of the ways that you can kind of get yourself in the door with people who are at a higher level, maybe in an aspect of life where you're trying to reach or maybe have things that you're trying to attain, is to develop yourself and have a skill set that's useful to them in some way, shape, or form. I got a perfect example of that. I'm going to do a set and then I'll share it with you guys. All right, so the example is that, so you guys probably know I'm a personal trainer. That's what I do for work. That's what I do as my career out here in San Francisco. San Francisco is a place filled with money. I'll probably say when it comes down to being financially, it might be the most financially lucrative city in the country, maybe here in New York. So you're gonna bump into people who have a lot of money. For me, I'm a personal trainer and I actually train at a few gyms that are in one of the more affluent neighborhoods in the entire country, in the United States. So by default, I'm going to meet a lot of people who are doing well for themselves. And I'm going to meet a lot of people who maybe have a good mindset. One of my clients, one of my favorite clients, I'm not going to mention his name, and I'm not even going to mention the industry that he works in. But let's just say in San Francisco, he's the top dog in his industry. And he's doing super good numbers. I don't know how much the guy's worth. If I had to guess, 150, 200 million, maybe even more than that. I don't know. The guy, he's doing well for himself. Even if he's only worth 30, 40, 50 million. Not, you can't even say only when you're talking about numbers like that. But the guy's high level. He's a high level thinker. I'm not going to say he comes from nothing, but he comes from humble beginnings, similar to myself. And he's just kind of somebody who's created this reality for himself. And it's that funny because he actually even told me that one day. One day we were sitting around talking. His son was actually training with me too. And he was like, you know what? I created my own world. And that was a great thing for me to hear. It's actually something I really needed to hear. But due to my expertise at training calisthenics, and for him in particular, one of the things I specialize in with my training is stability work, making sure that your body's nice and stable. And part of what he came to me for was stability, shoulder stability, core stability, all that type of stuff. We've been working together. He appreciates what I bring to the table. We've actually developed a relationship a little bit beyond just trainer and client. We kick it sometimes. We'll go out and have a drink. He'll invite me to his businesses to, kick it or whatever. I'm not, like I said, I can't really express what he does for a living, so I can't tell you what type of business he has, but he'll invite me to his businesses. And so we've developed a little bit of a relationship. And at this point, I look at him him paying me is just like icing on top of the cake at this point, because I get so much game from this dude as far as business goes, as far as life goes. As somebody who immigrated into this country, I get so much game from this guy that's far more valuable than any amount of money that he can pay me. And that's something where I'm really cognizant. I really try to lock in and be present during our training sessions, not only to help him out with what he's paying me to do, but also to help myself out in terms of learning from this guy. Well, let's take a look. Anything? Somebody said, respect the truth. Yo, JD, I want to apologize. When I came across your channel, I expected you to do the same thing as the New York calisthenics guys. I quickly realized you're doing you, which I respect. Be yourself. Yeah, for sure. I mean, it ain't no knock against the cats in New York. Them dudes is amazing. Like, I've seen, I don't really keep up with too many of their channels, but of course, like the bigger channels that you see over there, like the Broly Gains and shit, who else is over there? The other cat, he kicks it with Bam Bam. Like, those dudes are super strong. So, I mean, whatever they're doing is working. You know what I mean? They have a different style of training than me, for sure. But at the end of the day, we're all building ourselves up and trying to get as strong and as healthy as possible. There's literally, I know I've said this many times on my channel before, but there's 1,000 ways to skin a cat. There's a bunch of different ways to get to the same destination. And at the end of the day, you just have to choose the route that you think suits you. And you also have to choose the route that, maybe it's sometimes the route chooses us, actually. It's not even necessary about us choosing the route. I think sometimes when in life, sometimes we don't even pick these things. It just kind of like happens. And I'm not just talking about fitness. I'm talking about everything else. And also, I kind of want to double back to what I was talking about earlier, as far as like loving people from afar, being friends with people from afar. I've made a ton of personal changes in my life just over the years. And my beliefs have changed over the years. Even for some of you guys who might have been watching my channel 5 years ago, right? You might have heard some of the stuff that I was talking about then. Some of that stuff, I'm definitely not in the same mode of thinking as I was then. Especially when it comes down to, I'll say, here's one way that I'm gonna actually speak on that I've changed a lot over the years. And a lot of times these things like are deep rooted in terms of why we even think a certain way. So for instance, when it comes down to like relationships, I've changed a ton in terms of the way that I view relationships, in terms of the way that I operate in relationships. Definitely, I would like to say for the better. And one of the things that I used to be, I'm not even going to say ignorant about, because, to each their own. Let's see, Broly Games reset post a video doing 50 pull-ups, 100 push-ups. Damn, that's crazy. Yeah, that's wild. Yo, what's up, man? How have things been going lately for you? What kind of lessons have you learned this year? So this is actually a good one. So one of the things I kind of realized, and this isn't something I just realized now, but I've been working on myself as a person in a relationship because of things that I might have learned as a youth, things that I might have learned seen as a child, things I might have learned as a youth. Also things that, coming of age as a young man, you start thinking, for instance, I would say there's a lot of older men that I learned from that always kind of preach the more women that you have, the more of a man that you are. And it wasn't necessary that they said that in those words, but that was kind of like the underlying message in terms of the way that a lot of the older guys, talked about relationships and women. It's always like the player shit was the stuff that was looked at in high regard. And if you just had one woman and you was a good dude, you was just a square, pretty much. You know what I mean? And that's kind of the way I operated for the longest time. That's kind of the way that a lot of my friends operated for the longest time. And eventually you just have to grow out of that, because at the end of the day, if you want to be somebody, or I'm not trying to preach to anybody right now either. I'm just telling you, this is my way of thinking. This is my opinion. This is my way of thinking. You don't have to think this way. But if you want to be in a healthy, long-lasting relationship, you're going to have to grow as a person. I had to grow a lot, and you're going to go through a lot of growing pains. For me, I've went through growing pains because I would say I kind of been on this journey and this process of learning how to be a good significant other or partner, if you want to say. I've been on the journey of trying to learn how to do that for maybe about the past like 6 or 7 years. And obviously, I'm at a further place than I was 6 or 7 years ago, but I still have a lot to learn. One thing that has been an extreme problem for me, or at least it was in my past, was fidelity in terms of not cheating. And sometimes you have to find like the root cause of the problem. And I think a lot of it might, for me at least, was based in kind of my mindset coming up, what what the people around me, kind of the way my friends move, the way the older men around me move. And I'm not trying to place any blame on anybody else, because at the end of the day, the responsibility is on me to operate in the way that I see is the most optimal way to operate. But at the end of the day, like I said, the fidelity thing was an issue. I used to cheat on all my girlfriends back in the day, all of them. And at this, the funny thing is that shit at certain points I might have had like, and this is not for me to try to sound cool or like I like anything. This is not promoting this, but I might have had like 3 girlfriends at once sometimes, which it's crazy. That doesn't do it. The person who actually gets hurt the most out of all that is actually yourself. When you're sitting over here playing the player games and creating a bunch of lies and having to keep up with all the stress, and you're raising your cortisol levels because you're stressed out about this person catching me doing this and this other person catching me doing that. The juice isn't worth the squeeze. Yeah, I mean, I get it. I mean, like I said, I'm not really mad at anybody who chooses to do the multiple women thing. That's not my speed. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, I think what it all boils down to for me, or what I've kind of came to, is that you got to find somebody, or at least I had to find somebody who was kind of on the same vibration as me, same morals as me, same values as me, wants the same things in life. And for me, I feel like I found that now with the woman who I'm with right now, and things have been going great. And it hasn't even really been hard. The funny thing is it used to be super difficult for me to be faithful in a relationship. I always used to be like, man, anytime I see something else, I'm like, damn, I want to whatever. You know what I mean? But at the same time, now it's completely different. It's been super easy. I've been with this woman for about 9 months now, and yeah, like I said, the faithful thing is kind of been, like I said, over the years, it's been something I've been working on. Before, it required a lot of discipline, and now I feel like it does not require that much discipline. Of course, are you going to see women that you're attracted to when you walk down the street? For sure. I'm a personal trainer. I work in a gym. You know what I mean? There's attractive women that come in the gym all the time, but I don't have a problem, or I don't have a hard time with self-control anymore the way I used to. But yeah, so part of that is not hanging around some of my old friends who I used to go chase women with. You know what I mean? And at the end of the day, I still have some friends. I still keep in contact with a lot of these guys. You know what I mean? Which is cool. And some of them have kind of moved on and kind of started families and things of that nature as well. But for me, the type of people who you surround yourself with is so huge, because what they say, you're the mean of the 5 people you hang around the most. You know what I mean? So if you hang around 5 players, you're gonna be the 6. If you hang around 5 millionaires, you're gonna be the 6. If you hang around 5 people who love to play video games and smoke weed, more than likely you're gonna be the 6th dude who likes to smoke weed and play video games. And that's just kind of the way the world works. Or that's just kind of the way the universe works in terms of what you're attracting. So I say loving people from a distance is probably one of the most important things. Oh, I mean, you got me there, but yeah. Anyways, like that's pretty much. I would say that's probably the main ways that I would say is good on like letting the old version of yourself go. Relocation, isolation. Number one, knowing who you want to be and working towards that. Working on a skill set so you can hang around higher level people. I would probably say Another aspect of it is just never getting content. So never getting content with the person that you are. Even who I am right now, there's so much more that I have to work on, and humbling yourself to actually receive help from other people. I think that's a huge one. I'm located in San Francisco, California nowadays. So humbling yourself is actually a huge aspect of that too, because a lot of times when you're not humble and you have too much pride, you'll think that your way of thinking is the proper way of thinking, when in all reality, your way of thinking is just one way of thinking. And your way of thinking might be totally bogus. Who knows? My way of thinking was totally bogus for years, but at the end of the day, I feel like I've humbled myself a lot to the point where I accepted other thought processes and kind of like morphed mine and shifted mine over the years. But let me get the last set of these, and then I'm gonna probably move on to another exercise. And if you guys have any questions in the comment section, definitely put some questions in the chat. Also in the comment section too, if you guys are watching this on a playback. But for right now, I'll probably say that's really all I wanted to talk about today. But if, like I said, if you guys got questions, I'm down to answer some questions too. Anything too. Comes down to fitness, life, whatever. Yeah, so yeah, if there's no questions, I'm probably gonna shut this live down pretty soon. But if you guys have any questions, go ahead and shoot. So I'll give it a couple more minutes, set up my next workout, and if there's no more questions, I'll holler at you guys on another one. But I'm gonna try to start running these lives as much as possible. The prepare video thing is just probably not gonna say a thing in the past for me, because eventually, once I'm able to carve out some more time, I'd like to put some time into the YouTube thing. But my future travel plans. My future travel plans. Well, two places that I really want to go to soon that I've never been to before is London and also Italy. So my best friend actually just got back from both of those places. He really enjoyed London, and Italy is a place that my girl has spent a lot of time. She knows pretty well, so I'm probably gonna go out there with her, and then also go out to London and check that out. But those are pretty much my travel plans. To be honest with you, I'm not even really in much of a travel mode right now. Hold on. Speaking of travel and thinking about travel, actually kind of brings me into another point. We talked about environments earlier in this live stream. Your environment doesn't make you or break you. What your environment does is expose you to certain things, and it also can place you in a place where maybe you'll have certain opportunities. So I think one of the lessons that I've had to learn, and one of the lessons that I think a lot of people maybe have to learn through travel, is that you bring yourself wherever you go. What they say, wherever you go, there you are. And a lot of times people try to use travel as almost like an escapism tactic to escape what their reality is. Maybe in this location, and they travel over here thinking that reality is going to all of a sudden sometimes shift. You know, you see a lot with the cats on YouTube, the passport bros dudes. You know, sometimes people look at me and they say they see that I travel, and they lump me into that. And it's like, I'm not on no passport bro stuff. Like, I don't travel for women. You know what I mean? I never really have traveled for women. Now, when I travel places, have I enjoyed women when I've been places? Of course I have, yeah, for sure. But that's not my reason to travel. It's not my reason to travel because my luck with women wasn't good in this location. I want to go to this location to see if they like me better over there. That's not really the way that it works. You know what I mean? It doesn't work that way. If you a square or you a trick in one location, you're gonna be a square and a trick in the next location. That's just kind of the way that is. That's just the laws of the universe. You know what I mean? Moving from one place to another place, you might be different. You know what I mean? You might be a novelty in one place, but at the end of the day, you're not better because you just hopped on an airplane. You get what I'm saying? Uh, I seen a short of you in a park in Hawaii some weeks ago. Okay, yeah. I was are you moving back to Hawaii? For sure, yeah. I would love to go back to Hawaii, but the only problem with Hawaii for me is that there's not necessarily enough opportunity. At least I don't think there's enough opportunity for me to be doing the things that I'm doing now. Plus, on top of that, one of the main reasons why I moved back to the Bay Area was because of family and friends, and wanted to be closer to my pops, who's older. My best friend lives out in San Francisco as well, so I wanted to kind of be close to him as well. And now I've developed this relationship and potentially going to be starting a family, down the line. And I probably want to do it here. My girl's from the Bay Area as well. I'm from the Bay Area. We both have roots here, so it really makes sense to be here. And on top of that, the opportunities are here. Traveling for women is insane. Yeah, it is insane. Chasing women and not health is diabolical. It is kind of diabolical, but at the end of the day, shit, I'm not gonna sit here and act like I haven't done that before. But but yeah, back to what I was saying about traveling someplace and thinking that, like for me, when I moved to Japan, I just thought I was like, oh, when I moved to Japan, people in general, it's just so much of a better society because of the way this happens. People are so much more respectful. People, at the end of the day, you still need to change yourself. You know what I mean? Now, did moving to Japan kind of show me some things in a different way of living, and it kind of helped me change myself in a certain way? Yes, it did. Moving to Hawaii definitely did. I love that place, and that's great that you're moving back to Hawaii. Actually, what's your opinion of other calisthenics dudes such as Austin Dunham and Ian Barr-Siegel? I mean, to be honest with you, I don't really have an opinion about other people's training methods. Like, can I take certain things from other people's training methods if I see that they're really good? I'll tell you, there's one guy who on YouTube who I follow, and I follow a lot, and I follow him on Instagram probably more than I follow him on YouTube. It's a guy named Rafael Paz, Paz, I believe is the way he spells his last name. That dude has some good game, and he has some good information. For somebody like me, for the way I like to train, he has a lot of good information. I look at him; he's high level, so I can learn a lot from that dude. Now, somebody like Austin Dunham and Ian Barr-Siegel, those dudes are good, but I don't necessarily look at their channels to learn anything personally. Advice on making money, living a free life. My advice on making money, first and foremost, is to develop a skill set. So you want to develop a skill set, get as good as you possibly can in something specific. Don't try to get too wide. Don't try to go too broad and try to cover too many different things at once. Get really good at one thing, and then you can start monetizing. Finish this set, and we'll continue that talk. If you develop a good enough skill set, then there's going to be an opportunity for you to make money. One things I realized about, when I started doing calisthenics and started training and everything, kind of was just starting for bettering myself, just to kind of get healthy. Also, if you guys are in the chat, please like the video. So if you like the video, it's going to draw a little bit more attention to my channel. I know I don't post that much, but still, I still like to get my videos out there. So like the video if you guys are in the chat. But when I started calisthenics, started training in general, it was just something to better myself, get in better shape, get stronger, give myself more confidence, make myself feel more proficient. But eventually, once I started developing my skill set in it, started getting more knowledgeable in it, learning more about it, learning more about the body, learning more about ways to help people, corrective exercises, stability exercises, the right modality of training for where people are at and everything like that. I started getting really good at what I do. And then I realized when I came into an environment like San Francisco, a place where people have the means to pay for my services is that my service is extremely valuable because I've worked on it so much. I was talking to somebody the other day. I've been in San Francisco for maybe a year and a month, something like that. And I've built my business up really well within a year and a month. So my business has been like skyrocketing, from private clients to clients at the gym that I train at to just word of mouth. When I start training with people, they start telling their friends. They start telling me they want their wife to train with me, or they start saying they want their husband to start training with me. So people see that what I do, and I actually pour a lot of myself into my work. I pour a lot of myself into my skill set, what I'm passionate about, and in turn, people see that I value what I do, and I have like a high standard. And like, as far as like, if you want to train with me out here, you got to pay. It's $120 an hour. You know what I mean? For my private clients. You know what I mean? If you want to train with me at the gym, it's like 140 or some shit like that. But at the end of the day, it's like, it's not cheap to train with me. But the thing is the skill set that I offer is worth that. And at the end of the day, people will pay for value, and they'll pay for somebody who's a master at their craft. So whatever it is that you're looking to get into, be passionate about it. Pour yourself into it. Get obsessed with it. You know what I mean? Because I got obsessed with this calisthenics and this training stuff about like 7 years ago, and it shows. It shows in my body. It shows the way I speak about it when I'm explaining things to people, when I'm cueing people, when I'm explaining to people how we're going to progress their programs, or how we're going to progress in exercises and things like that in terms of teaching people things. It shows. So if you're obsessed over something, you dive deep into something that you're passionate about, you can make money off of it. And you can either do that online or in person. Let's see. Will Lawson III, what's good, bro? JD, what's up? Have you heard about Kyle Boges? You and him are dudes that I follow, and most when it comes to calisthenics. I don't know too much about that guy, but I'll look into it. What would you compete in any calisthenics competitions on the East Coast? Calisthenics is huge, especially in the tri-state area. It's funny because I'm actually about to be in a calisthenics competition coming up this weekend, and honestly, I haven't even been training for it. So one of the things about calisthenics competitions is that most of them are all about endurance, and I'm more so about strength. So if you guys probably seen me if you've been watching the workout. The first couple exercises, all I did was 5 reps. I'm not really trying to stay on the bar and do 50 pull-ups at once. And there's no disrespect to people who train like that, because there's nothing wrong with being able to have high endurance when it comes down to this. But I'm more so focused on like static skills, like planche, or like planche push-ups, front levers, things of that nature. So those are the things I'm kind of training for, or having more power when it comes down to my dynamic exercises, or being able to be super slow and controlled, like on those slow muscle ups. So to me, those are the things I'm more so trained for. When it comes down to the calisthenics competitions, it's usually about who can do so many reps in a short amount of time. And that's not really, when it comes to my endurance training, that's why I go running. No disrespect to anybody who likes the high volume training. One of my homeboys in Oakland, as a matter of fact, a brother named Jordan, super good at high volume, high endurance calisthenics, and it's been paying dividends. You know what I mean? He done got swole up off of it. It's not that you can't get swole, like I said earlier. There's different roads to get to the same place. There's different ways to skin a cat. But the competition thing, the one that I'm actually going to be in, and the reason why it intrigued me to begin with, is that it's one of these competitions, or it's a competition where you're actually running and doing calisthenics. So I believe it's a 3-mile run, maybe 25 pull-ups, either 25 pull-ups or 10 muscle-ups, and then you do 100 push-ups, 50 dips, and like 25 burpees or something like that. It's that, the little calisthenics endurance sets and reps thing. That's not my thing though, to be completely honest with you. But I also do like challenging myself and just doing something. So we'll see how I do. I haven't been training for it. I'm a pretty good distance runner, so I would say that's something that I'll probably have an advantage of in that, but not saying I'm the best in that, but I'm decent at it. And then when it comes down to calisthenics endurance, even though I don't train endurance, like I can still hop on a bar and do 25 pull-ups right now if I wanted to. And that's just from having the strength and endurance overall. That's why I believe in being a hybrid athlete. You have to be training in different modalities. I don't just train calisthenics. I go to the gym and do deadlifts. I do power cleans, squats, all of that. Do you have the touch front? No, I don't have the touch front lever. I can't do that. Man, bro. When it comes down to some of these calisthenics movements, another thing people don't realize is that the taller and heavier you are, the harder it is to do a lot of this stuff. Like, dude, I'm 6 feet tall and I'm 190 something pounds. So at the end of the day, it's like it's when you see a lot of these cats doing moves like touch front lever or planche, these cats is like 5'6", 5'7", and 130 pounds, 140 pounds, 150 pounds. You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, it's like that's why you can't get too caught up in comparing yourself to other people in the way that they do things. Like if I was to get caught up in comparing myself to like somebody who's way smaller than me who's been doing calisthenics for the same time, like I'd be like, damn, I'm not good at this shit because they're so much further along. But I'm on my own journey. For sure. My personal training, my personal training rates is 120 an hour out here. So 120 an hour, but of course, you know, if you a follower of the channel, then maybe we'll work something out. And plus, you was in the mastermind group. We was, you know, we got a little history. So man, we'll cut something. But for most people out there, my 99% of the people out there, my rates is 120 an hour out here. And that's just for right now because the rate's going up. Because the busier that I get, it's supply and demand. Because, you know, I'm at a point now where my schedule is so busy, I damn near got to raise my rates. And another thing I want to talk about when it comes down to money and making money too, because somebody had asked a question about making money. Making money can't be the sole purpose of your existence. Like some people view money and they just like, it's great. Money is a great tool to have and we all need it. But at the end of the day, we have to have a greater purpose than just making money. It's funny because I work with probably, I would say like 4 or 5 guys, maybe even more than that, who are in the finance. And literally, I'm in Chinatown right now, and I'm just going to pan this camera over here. This right here, that's the financial district of San Francisco, right behind me. I'm hella close, probably like a 10-minute walk or something like that. Man, these cats slave. You want to talk about some hard labor? These cats slave. They on computers. You know what I mean? They on computers damn near 80 hours a week. You know what I mean? Not getting no movement, not getting no sunlight, not having no social life. And then when they do have some free time, they just go out and drink. That's the culture in that finance thing. And basically they doing this with the hopes of making money. And with the hopes of making money, it's like, at the end of the day, it's like, man, if you get to the point where you 40, 45 years old in bad health, but you got a shit ton of money, like what that shit was all in vain. You know what I mean? It's funny. I got a client. I talk about this. This could be its own video. One of my clients is a CEO. And this cat, he's just, man, he is multi-millionaire type of dude, but at the end of the day, like, man, his health, like, you look on his face, the motherfucker got permanent bags underneath his eyes because he don't get no sleep. He was telling me he went on like a 5 to 10 year run where he was working 100 hours a week. You know what I mean? Like, man, what could you possibly be doing unless you just love what you're doing to stress yourself out so much over a dollar bill? You get what I'm saying? I just personally don't see the value in it, but that's just me. But at the end of the day, you can make money doing anything that you actually love. And it's funny because some of these guys who are in the finance world, I make more money than these cats. And they doing all this slave labor, working 100 hours type a week. Now, for me personally, if I worked 100 hours a week doing what I like, what I'm doing, I love this shit. So this ain't even really work to me. I love training people. I love seeing people progress. I love seeing people grow. I love talking to people. So it's not hard labor. This shit is just something that I would literally do for free. I got a couple clients. I like training so much. One of my clients is I like training this cat so much. He's made so much progress. I feel like I'm damn near getting more out of it than he's getting out of it. And at the end of the day, at a certain point, I would love to get to the point where I could train people for free. Financially, when I'm at a place where I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna train you for free. Hook me up, like give me some referrals or something, and I'll train you for free. But anyways, guys, definitely shoot me some more questions right now. So if you guys don't have any questions, I'm getting ready to do some exercises. It's gonna be a little bit more difficult that I don't really want to do on camera just because I have to really lock into it. How to develop my communication skill? I would say get a job doing customer service. It shit'll force you to get your communication skills up. So one of the things that I'm really grateful for is that I actually worked for the airlines for 12 years. I worked for the airlines from the time I was 23 years old to the time I was 35 years old. And I worked customer service specifically in the airline for like 9.5 years. And I'd say that was the number one thing that developed my communication skills. It kind of helped me out just talking to people and always feeling comfortable to talk to people in social settings. And customer service is a super important aspect of my job right now because part of what my job is customer service. Part of it's therapy. Part of it's, helping people with their health. Part of it's listening to people, communicating with people, having to communicate to people on what I want them to do. So it's super important, and sales is super important as well. So I would say sales is another skill set that you should try to develop as well, depending on what type of industry you're going into. How are you, and why haven't you done videos? How is the diet? I'm good, but the thing is like I don't get paid to do YouTube, so that's why I don't do YouTube videos. No disrespect, but it's just like if I'm not getting paid to do a service, you know what I mean? I'm not gonna do it. You know what I mean? Unless I really just feel like it. Like right now, had some time on my hands, felt like talking and tapping in, and that's why I'm doing it. But if I don't have the free time because I'm so busy with my actual work, I'm not gonna prioritize making YouTube videos over making money and working on my skill set in real life. And my diet, talk about that in a second. My diet's cool, but I would say it's not. I don't really try to be the healthiest person in the world. Try to get my veggie intake, try to get my protein intake, try to not eat too much. But at the end of the day, I like to enjoy life. So I eat burritos a couple times a week. I eat ice cream when I want to eat it. I eat sweets when I eat them. You know what I mean? But I still intermittent fast. So intermittent fasting is definitely something that's helped me stay lean over the years. And I say when you're not on your A game with your diet, it definitely helps out a lot. But anyways, guys, I'm a pop out. I'm a head out right now. Taqueria El Farolito. Nah, El Farolito is cool. If you know about El Farolito, then you probably from out here. My favorite spot is El Burrito Express. So hit that spot up sometime. EBX El Burrito Express is a good one. La Palma is a good one. And yeah, trusting your instincts. I would say, okay, that's a good question. Is trusting your instincts important? Oh, so how you know about El Farolito if you're from Philly? Okay. But yeah, no, I would say trusting your instincts is important. But also just developing instincts, your gut feeling. They say your gut is your second brain. So trusting your gut instincts is super important, especially when it comes down to the type of people that you're around. Like we all have gut instincts when it comes down to the type of people who we kick it with. This doesn't just have to do with like business. It goes into all aspects of life: business, friendships, relationships. We have to kind of use our gut instincts, but then we also kind of have to step back sometimes and like read people and give people a chance as well. So I'll say sometimes we can initially judge a book by its cover and we might think that's our gut instinct, but it's actually just us judging somebody from external and maybe superficial things. But if we kind of take the time to get to know somebody on a deeper level, that's how we actually get to know people. And actually, that's a good thing that you actually asked that, because I would say when it comes down to relationships, here's one of the things that I used to mess up on in the past is I used to be way too quick to get physical in relationships. So in my relationships, I might meet a girl and then, shit, my thing was like, if they wasn't sleeping with me on the first night, then they must not like me that much, which was an idiotic way of thinking. But now, as I've gotten older and more mature, I realize I actually try to prolong the time that I don't get intimate with somebody. Or, for instance, my girlfriend I'm with right now, I tried my hardest to keep it more at like a friendship level. Even though I let her know that she was interested, I was interested in her on a romantic level. I tried to keep it as friendly as possible and keep the physical stuff out of it for as long as possible. And of course, eventually you can't help it, and the physical thing happens. But when you do get physical in a relationship, you tend to kind of puts on some blinders in a certain area, because you're like, oh, that's not that bad. When red flags and shit pop up, you end up kind of letting people slide just because you're like, well, shit, I'm physical with this person. We doing our thing. But instincts, gut instincts, definitely pay attention to them. But then don't let that be your final decision in how you view somebody. Give people a chance. Don't always just say, oh, my instincts is that I don't like this person, or my instincts is that I don't like this, that, and the other. Sometimes we have to give things a chance and actually give it a fair shake to see if something serves us or not. Craftsman Wolves is good. Yeah, they're pretty good. I've had a couple of their things. But yeah. Anyways, guys, I'm out. It's been about an hour. I gotta finish this workout and I gotta get back to work. I'll holler at you guys later. Tap in with you guys as soon as I can. Peace.